Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast.
Mm.
Imagine just walking past a colleague's desk and hearing them literally scream, like, no, just the Q3 data, you idiot, at their computer screen.
Oh, I've heard it. We've all been there.
Right. Just staring at a blinking cursor, feeling completely, I don't know, misunderstood by an artificial intelligence.
Oh.
So today we are taking a deep dive into this incredibly insightful article by Felix Römer.
Yes.
It's titled AI Communication Etiquette, Human-AI Interaction in the Workplace. And we're framing this not as a conversation about just being polite to machines for the sake of it,
Yeah, not all.
but really as a strategic playbook for you, the modern professional looking to drastically improve your business efficiency and, your output quality.
And I think the urgency here, it really can't be overstated.
Yeah.
Because we were moving far, far beyond that experimental phase.
Yeah, the honeymoon phase is over.
Exactly. Where playing with a language model was just, a fun niche hobby or something strictly confined to the IT department's innovation lab. I mean, the data Felix Römer pulls from IBM paints a very clear picture of the business landscape right now. Over a third of companies are already using machine helpers in their daily workflows.
A third? Wow.
Yeah, and another 42% are actively planning to adopt them.
So this is everywhere. I mean, it is a daily workflow reality. You are either using these tools right now or you are about to be, which means this is no longer just a technological shift. It's a communication shift.
Precisely. It's how we talk now. Because these tools are becoming so ubiquitous, how you interact with them fundamentally shapes your business results. It is honestly a core professional skill set.
Yeah.
The quality of the input you provide directly dictates the quality of the output you receive. And so that output ultimately impacts your team's productivity, your personal performance, and, well, the company's bottom line.
I get that. But I want to challenge the core premise of Römer's article early on here.
Yeah.
Because he makes this comparison that really caught me off guard.
The Emily Post thing.
Yes. The Emily Post thing. He takes her long-held etiquette values, things like, kindness, consideration, respect, honesty, and he maps them directly onto machine interactions.
He does, yeah.
He's essentially arguing that we should treat these digital tools with simple politeness.
Yeah.
But let's be real for a second here. The AI does not have feelings.
No, it doesn't.
It is literally a server farm in a cold room somewhere.
Yeah.
It cannot be offended if I'm blunt. So why on earth should I waste my keystrokes and my time typing please or thank you?
That is usually the first point of resistance for anyone reading this, and it's a completely logical pushback. I mean, why be nice to a toaster, right?
Exactly.
But the etiquette Römer is talking about, it's not about protecting a machine's feelings. It is entirely about setting clear intent and creating better work rhythms for you, the human.
Okay, unpack that for me.
So the article references Pythia's 7 tips for this kind of interaction. Things like say hello, use please and thank you, be patient, write full sentences.
Engage in dialogue. Yeah, I saw those.
Right. Rephrase when needed and adapt to the assistant's style.
I'm still hung up on the please and thank you part, though. Like, how does adding pleasantries actually change the algorithmic output? Does the code somehow reward me for being nice to it?
It doesn't change the underlying code, no, but it fundamentally changes the linguistic structure of your prompt.
Oh, interesting.
Think about the mechanics of how we speak. When you force yourself to use polite framing, like when you type please, you naturally shift into writing full, complete sentences.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, you provide more context almost by accident. You transition from barking a string of, disjointed keywords into actually articulating a complete thought.
Ah, so it's a forcing function for my own brain.
Exactly that. It slows you down in a good way. Let's look at the technical mechanism here, specifically something called the context window.
Right, the short-term memory thing.
Yep. For those unfamiliar, the context window is essentially the AI's short-term memory for your current conversation.
Oh.
It only has so much space to hold on to the parameters of what you're asking. So if you just type, like, sales data Q3, the system has to guess your intent. It has to fill in the blanks and make broad assumptions.
Because it doesn't know what I want to do with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it burns up that short-term memory trying to figure out what you want. But if you say, please summarize the Q3 sales data, highlighting the top 3 performing regions in a bulleted list.
You've given it a clear directive.
Yes. Full sentences help the system parse your intent, identify constraints, and understand your success criteria.
So instead of a vending machine where I just, press a button and hope a generic snack falls out, it's more like giving a recipe to a chef.
I like that analogy.
Like if I walk into a kitchen and just yell, cake,
You're going to get a random cake.
right. I might get a strawberry shortcake, a wedding cake, or a cupcake. It's a low context command, so I get a totally random result. But if I say, please bake a gluten-free chocolate cake for 10 people, the high context and the polite structure give me exactly what I need.
That is a brilliant way to visualize it, and it ties perfectly into the concept of patience that Römer emphasizes too.
How so?
Well, if you get frustrated with the chef and start yelling contradictory instructions halfway through, the output degrades. In AI terms, if you start firing off angry, disjointed prompts because the first answer was wrong,
Which we all do.
the context window, that short-term memory we just talked about, it gets cluttered with noise. The AI actually loses the thread of the original task.
Wow, which reminds me of managing a new hire. Honestly, it's like treating the AI as a brilliant but very, very literal new intern.
Yes, the literal intern. That's perfect.
If you bark a one-word command at an intern as you sprint past their desk, you're going to get a messy, confused result.
Absolutely.
But if you treat them like a colleague, give them context about why the task matters, and wait patiently for them to process it, the output improves dramatically.
And that mindset shift from commanding a machine to collaborating with an intern, that is where the real productivity gains happen. Once you adopt that attitude, you can really start executing the practical playbook that Römer lays out.
Right, let's transition to that, actually. Let's move from the attitude we bring to the actual execution. Because knowing why we should be polite is one thing, but how do we structure these prompts to get that optimal result?
It takes practice.
The article lays out a very specific step-by-step approach.
It really does. And it all starts with defining the parameters before you even ask the core question. Most people just jump straight to the request.
Guilty.
Right. But Römer argues you need to build a container for the answer first.
So the text says you need to define the objective, the time frame, and the format up front.
Yes.
So you have to explicitly tell the system if you want a high-level summary or like a detailed slide deck outline or an actionable checklist.
And length limits, too.
Right, like keep this under 500 words.
Yeah.
And most crucially, providing context. Tell the AI who the audience is and what the constraints are.
That audience context is perhaps the most powerful lever you have.
Really, more than the format.
Oh, definitely. Telling the AI, explain this financial report to a group of marketing managers who do not have a background in accounting. I mean, that completely changes the vocabulary and the tone of the output.
That makes total sense.
But even with the perfect parameters, this is where the concept of dialogue becomes essential. You should never, ever expect magic on the first try.
Oh man, I am definitely guilty of that. I will spend 10 minutes writing one giant, perfect paragraph, hit enter, and then get incredibly frustrated when the AI misses one tiny nuance.
It's a common trap. You put so much pressure on that first prompt. Instead, treat the interaction as an iterative process.
So back and forth.
Yeah. Propose an outline first. Have the system generate the skeleton of the idea. Then you review it and refine the drafts together. You treat its replies as rough drafts, and you ask targeted follow-up questions.
So instead of just typing try again when it fails.
Which is the worst thing you can do, by the way.
Huh? Okay, good to know. So instead of that, you say something like, this is a good start, but please expand point 3 with specific step-by-step instructions. Or can you compare the two approaches you just outlined?
Exactly. You guide it.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, in your daily grind? I mean, doing this correctly, setting the objective, providing the audience context, engaging in that polite, iterative dialogue, it ends that agonizing cycle of frustrating, vague AI outputs.
It really does save time in the long run.
But the real secret weapon in the article is what happens next. As you do this, you start noticing which phrases get the best results.
Yeah.
You start saving those reusable snippets. You actually build your own personal prompt library.
Yes, the prompt library. It is essentially a collection of your greatest hits.
I love that concept.
It's a document where you save the exact phrasing that works for your specific tasks.
It's almost like building a macro in Excel, but for language.
That is a great way to put it.
You figure out exactly how to talk to your digital intern to get the weekly report formatted perfectly, and then you just copy and paste that foundational prompt every Monday. It speeds up all your future work.
You're front-loading the effort, to create a standardized briefing process. It completely future-proofs your workflow.
Okay, so we have established that getting good outputs is fantastic for individual productivity. You can write your reports faster, analyze data quicker, and skip all that frustration.
Definitely.
But if we solve the frustration at the user level, another massive issue emerges from this.
Right, the dark side of efficiency.
Exactly. If every single employee is quietly building their own private prompt libraries and just, pasting company data into public tools to get their work done faster, that creates a massive blind spot. Which brings us to the governance gap.
And this is where the conversation scales from personal productivity to, frankly, enterprise survival.
Yeah, it gets serious.
As Thomas Bergen of Get Abstract is quoted in the article saying, blind reliance creates risk. While individual efficiency is great, scaling AI usage without scaling oversight is incredibly dangerous.
And the data backing that up is alarming.
Yeah.
I mean, the IBM stats from the source note that 74% of companies do not check for bias reduction in their AI tools.
That's huge.
68% skip performance tracking entirely, and 61% lack any sort of explainability checks.
That last statistic, the lack of explainability checks, that is critical to understand.
Let's pause on that, actually, because explainability checks sounds like heavy IT jargon. What does that actually mean in plain English?
Fair question. Simply put, the mathematical models behind these AI tools are so complex that often even the developers who built them don't know exactly how the system arrived at a specific answer.
Wait, really? The builders don't even know?
They don't. It is a black box. You feed data in and an answer pops out. An explainability check is a protocol to trace that logic. So, if the AI tells your marketing team to invest heavily in a specific demographic, you need a mechanism to ask the system, show me the data points that led to this conclusion.
Oh, I see.
And if 61% of companies are not doing that, they are making massive business decisions based on invisible math.
Based on invisible math. That is terrifying.
It is.
So proper etiquette at the individual level, asking good questions and being clear, must evolve into proper governance at the enterprise level.
Exactly.
So what does that governance actually look like in practice?
It means you cannot ever assume the output is factual, period. You have to establish rigorous fact-checking protocols. You must require source logging.
Source logging.
Yeah. So if an employee submits a report generated by an AI, they must log exactly where the system pulled that information from. You keep an audit trail that records the changes between the AI's initial draft and the final published content.
Got it.
And for highly sensitive items, the article suggests implementing two-party authentication before anything goes live.
Which means at least 2 human beings have to review and sign off on the AI's work if it touches anything critical.
Right.
Because the alternative is, well, it's just bad. Imagine you have a highly sensitive legal document or your company's unreleased financial projections. Pasting that proprietary data into a public AI prompt is the exact same thing as leaving confidential legal files sitting wide open on a table in a crowded coffee shop.
It's worse, honestly. But yes.
You are just handing the data over to the public domain.
That is exactly what is happening. But the mechanism of the risk is even deeper than a simple data leak.
How so?
When you paste raw, proprietary customer data into a public AI tool, the system doesn't just read it and forget it. That data becomes part of its training weights.
Oh.
It learns from it. This leads to a risk known as model poisoning.
Wait, model poisoning.
Yeah. If a competitor logs into that same public AI tomorrow and asks the right probing questions about industry trends, the AI might regurgitate your proprietary financial projections as part of its answer, simply because you trained it to do so yesterday.
Wow, that is mind-blowing. And, frankly, terrifying.
It is a major vulnerability.
And beyond model poisoning, there are massive plagiarism risks if employees just copy-paste generated text into official documents. So, how do businesses actually safeguard against this?
Well, the article lists several specific mitigations.
But how do we actually enforce them? I mean, I can tell my team not to paste confidential data, but how do I stop an employee from just copy-pasting a proprietary PDF into a tool on their personal browser?
Right, because policy alone is never enough. You need technical guardrails. The first mitigation Römer lists is enforcing data loss prevention, or DLP.
How does DLP work? Like mechanically?
DLP involves software installed on company networks that actively monitors the data moving in and out. It can recognize the formatting of a social security number, a proprietary code string, or, a confidential watermark.
Okay.
If an employee tries to paste that recognized data into an unauthorized web browser or public AI tool, the DLP software physically blocks the action and flags it to IT.
So you restrict what employees are technically able to paste.
Exactly.
That makes sense. The system acts as a physical wall.
Right. And second, Companies must run originality and plagiarism scans on everything before it goes out the door.
Standard operating procedure, yeah.
Third, when employees are running tests or trying to figure out a business scenario, they must utilize hypothetical data for their prompts, never the real raw customer data.
Oh, like a dummy data set.
Exactly. You ask the AI to analyze a dummy spreadsheet, figure out the formula, and then you apply that formula to the real data offline.
That is such a smart workaround. What about images and video, though? Because generating a stock image for a presentation seems pretty harmless. But we are looking at a massive legal gray area regarding who actually owns the rights to AI-generated art.
It is a total legal minefield right now. The text heavily emphasizes verifying copyright. You must document the sources and licenses for any media used in company materials.
So no random AI generators for the company deck.
When in doubt, the safest route is to rely on vetted stock libraries like Getty Images or Shutterstock. They have established licensing agreements. Whereas hoping a random AI-generated image doesn't accidentally infringe on a protected artist's work, it's a gamble you just don't want to take.
Yeah, that makes sense. You have to route questionable assets to the legal department for clearance.
Always.
But listen, if I am a manager listening to this and I hear all these risks, model poisoning, plagiarism, data breaches, copyright infringement, invisible math, my first instinct might be to just shut it all down.
Pull the plug.
Exactly. Ban it from the company network entirely. But we already established that 42% of companies are adopting this. If you freeze, you lose your competitive edge.
And banning it just drives the usage underground to employees' personal phones, which is infinitely more dangerous.
Right. So how do companies foster innovation and let their teams use these tools while actually keeping the brand protected?
You provide a safe alternative. The solution Römer introduces is the concept of safe sandboxes.
Let's visualize a safe sandbox. I am picturing a walled-off playground.
That is a perfect visualization. Think of a sandbox as a secure, closed-loop version of these AI tools that lives entirely on your company's private servers.
Okay.
It is completely disconnected from the public internet and public training models.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so employees can use the sandbox to summarize financial PDFs, draft emails, write code, but because it's an isolated environment, absolutely nothing they type is ever sent back to the parent company or used to train outside models.
So it eliminates the model poisoning risk entirely.
Entirely. It creates an environment where teams can safely experiment. They can figure out how to write those perfect prompts, they can test the limits of the models, and they can do it without the fear that an honest failure is going to negatively affect their performance review or trigger a massive data leak.
That is huge for company culture.
It is. You define a clear role for human oversight at the requirements, review, and approval stages, but you give them a secure space to play, learn, and build those prompt libraries.
I love the sandbox approach because it directly speaks to the human element. The article has a clear mandate. Keep human strengths central.
Yes.
Because no matter how good the AI gets at summarizing a PDF or generating a functional piece of code, human creativity, human judgment, and human empathy must guide the final outputs. The tool does the heavy lifting, but the human steers the ship.
That human oversight is non-negotiable. And this brings us back perfectly to the beginning of our discussion, to Emily Post and those core etiquette values.
Oh, right.
Specifically, honesty. Transparency itself is a vital form of digital etiquette.
How does transparency play into our daily use of these tools, though?
Well, businesses must be entirely open about when they use automated tools so stakeholders know exactly what to expect. You have to disclose your use of these systems in messages and documents.
Okay.
Furthermore, you must avoid using deceptive personas in customer-facing interactions.
Like pretending the bot is a human.
Exactly. Do not program a chatbot to pretend it's a real human named Sarah, typing away in a customer service center, complete with fake typing delays. Clearly mark when a system is assisting the user.
Because that builds trust.
It does.
And the wild thing is, according to the article, only 35% of companies are currently training or reskilling their employees to do this effectively.
Only 35%.
That means 65% of the market is either ignoring this shift or just winging it, letting their employees loose without a playbook. If you start defining plain language standards, building safe sandboxes, embedding review steps, and practicing this AI etiquette now, you are giving yourself a massive competitive edge.
It is an incredible advantage. Small acts of politeness to structure your intent, combined with transparency and rigorous governance, they not only improve your immediate output, but build a culture of trust around the technology.
Yeah.
You are creating a framework where human workers are in control of the future rather than just reacting to it.
Which leaves me with one final provocative thought for you to chew on today. We have spent this whole deep dive exploring how we need to carefully train ourselves to use clear language, provide upfront context, and engage in patient, iterative dialogue with AI to get better results.
Right.
But if we are practicing all of this AI etiquette, stating our goals clearly, listening to the output, refining our questions with patience, and bringing empathy to the forefront, is practicing AI etiquette actually training us to become better, more empathetic communicators with our human colleagues?
That is a great
I
question.
mean, if you learn to stop barking one-word commands at the machine, you might just stop barking them at your coworkers too. It is something to think about the next time you draft an email to your team.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the SmartKeys podcast. If you want to stay ahead of the curve on the future of work, productivity, and how to navigate these massive technological shifts, make sure you hit subscribe.
And read the article.
Yes, strongly urge you to read Felix Römer's full article. The insights in there are invaluable for your daily workflow, and we only scratched the surface today. You can find the link to read the whole thing right down in the show notes. Until next time, keep diving deep.